Alright, right now we're gonna try hitting 60 words per minute on monkey type. Let me just show you my monkey type settings. My top is 91, 72, 81, 74, but I've changed my settings, so my average is like 52. So, and it's been a while since I've been like using the keyboard. I know it's been bad. So yeah, we're gonna try hitting above 52 for now. If I can get at least 53, then I'll end the video. If I don't get at least 53, then I'll just keep going. Alright, 3, 2, 1, go. Oof. Uh, 45. You know what? Yeah, let me just turn off these settings and see how fast I am. Off. Let's turn off opposite shift. Let's turn off that. Let's turn off that. Okay. You couldn't see that, but I was trying to crack my fingers and nothing happened. Oof. Okay, let's see how fast I am. Because I used to get 90. I used to get about 70. So I feel like just because I haven't typed on the keyboard for a while, I'm slower. Hopefully that's not the case. Oh my god. $77. Okay, so my speed hasn't got any worse if I'm looking at it. Okay, yes it has, because I used to be 81. Oh my days. Oh. You know what, just because of that, I just realized this is very close to my keyboard, so you're probably going to hear like a bunch of keyboard noise where you don't really need to hear that. Hang on. I probably sound further away now, but trust me, that's probably better. Okay, let's try this again. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh my days. 79. How? Oh, consistency 77, accuracy 90. Oh my days. You know what? Yeah, it's gonna be quiet, and I'm sorry that I'm gonna sound quiet, but I'm gonna try focusing as much as possible. I know my hands are gonna cramp up. Oh, my wrists. I'll go over my keyboard after I get to at least like 81, because if I get to 81, then I feel like I'll be happy. Oh my, you know what? Let me just retry that. Let me. Jesus. Oh my days. Oh, this is so much worse. How? Anyway, let's just imagine that didn't happen. The keyboard I'm using is a YMDK Wings HOTSWAP board. So if I go on their website, YMDK Wings, the board that I use is the HOTSWAP board. So if I type in, whoops, HOTSWAP Wing, I'm not able to do that. Oh my god. HOTSWAP YMDK Wings. I have the, I believe it's the black blue version. Even though it's a black blue, it's more like a teal color than anything. But it has it's full CNC aluminum with acrylic plate underneath. It has, I believe, a top mount. New YMDK Wings. HOTSWAP RGB south facing PCB, so it won't interfere with what are they called? I believe they're MX style keycaps. It won't interfere with MX style keycaps, while north facing RGB will interfere with cherry keycaps. Sorry, I don't know why that's in my brain. Black clear blue screw and stabilizers. The stabs are good, but I done a holy mod on them just to make them a bit okay. I don't use glue, but the holy mod did do well. The cable's pretty shit, honestly. Like on the side, on the USB A side, like the shielding on the USB port is coming off, but for a cable that comes with a keyboard, it's okay. I'd suggest getting a cable from Cable Mods. Screws, obviously, aluminum feet. The aluminum feet are okay. It's just I would prefer if the feet had like a different height, or if you were given like different feet, like multiple choices of feet, just so that you could like choose the type of height you wanted. Because right now it's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like a 15-degree incline, so my wrists are kind of raised, which feels okay. But I would prefer if it was like a little lower, if that makes sense. Or even if it was like flat and I could tent the keyboard, but it's okay. 1U and 2U backspace. So basically the 1U is for each spacebar, because instead of having a full spacebar, you have 2 spacebars, one for each thumb. And most keycaps should have at least like 2 shifts, or a couple shifts that should be able to fit in here. Right now I'm using the 0 for the numpad and just the shift. And the backspace is fine. HOTSWAP Wings, PCB. So in the HOTSWAP board, I'm not using any of these switches. I bought Akko CS Rose Red switches in the beginning. And then Akko recently released the Jelly Black switches, so now I'm using the Jelly Black switches in my keyboard. That's why it has like a, not like a thocky sound, but more like a tacky sound. I don't know how really to explain. If you watch Critical's video on Mecha Store, he has a really good video explaining like the different types of sounds that each keyboard makes, and the way that this sounds kind of like, it kind of sounds like one of the boards in the video. Watch the video and it was really good. Like, it covers a lot. Lots of people only use like Thok and Clack though. With Crin, he actually like measures the boards and is like, oh, this is what this board actually sounds like, and this is the word he gives that board. I'm kind of shilling Crin right now, but honestly, he's a really good YouTuber, and I think people should watch him. Like, genuinely, just follow his channel. Foam for the wings, 12 pieces this thing. I didn't get any foam, honestly. I didn't think the board needed it. If you feel like the board's pingy, then get foam. If you need to add foam, go ahead. Probably just use like packing foam underneath the board if you want to reduce the ping or like dampen it a bit, but because the board is very pingy, but it doesn't bother me that much because I use like IEM, so I don't really hear the pinginess of the board. Most of the time it's just people, I can hear like the key press, but I can't actually hear the ping of the board. I can hear the the actual key in the keycap, but I can't hear the board, so it should be fine. I don't use the wristwatch. I didn't buy it. I didn't think I needed it. What else can I tell you? I'm using Akko neon keycaps. This is kind of turning into an Akko show now. But yeah, I like the Akko, just like really budget. You can find them on Amazon, AliExpress. I bought all of my stuff from AliExpress except for the jelly black switches, but honestly they're really good. Glasses has a video covering switch types, and so does Shoobs. I think Shoobs' video is more... Shoobs' video is a lot more comprehensive, just that he covers a lot more switch types, and he covers like tactiles, linears, and clickies. If you don't know what those are, the main difference is you have a linear or a clicky switch. Tactile is, I'll explain that later. So a linear switch and a clicky switch. A linear switch, you only hear the click, you only hear a sound from the keycap, so you don't actually hear the switch click at all. What you're hearing when I go like this is just the keycap hitting the bottom of the board. So that sound is purely from the keycap and the bottom of the board. So when you have a linear switch, the sound made from the board and the actual keyboard is just from the keycap hitting the board. So changing out the plate or the keycaps would change the sound of a linear switch, and adding dampening foam underneath the board or any type of like dampening material underneath the board or inside of the keyboard will change the sound of your keyboard for most switches. A clicky switch, now to explain clicky switches, I don't like them personally because they make too much noise, and I live with family. So with clicky switches, the only difference between a linear switch and a clicky switch is a clicky switch will have a click during the key press. So you see how I click like this? You will hear another click as you click down or as you click up. I believe some switches do both. When the actual click jack on the clicky switch will when the switch is pressed down, it hits a click jack or a click bar and makes a sound as it passes it. So if I look up linear switch images, I just need a diagram of the linear switch. Linear switch. Actually, I just searched linear switch diagram, isn't it? Okay, this is good enough. For linear, no, it's not. Then diagram. Alright. Bear with. Linear. Here we are. So linear switch. So let me zoom in. So literally, this is the stem of the switch. Spring. All of them have stem and a spring, right? And then it has this leaf, right? And these legs are what actuates the switch when it goes down. So when the switch goes down, the actual wire between these two connect, causing the switch to register the key press, right? With linear switches, you only hear the sound of the key when it goes down. With a clicky switch, it has this extra part inside of the switch, either a click jack, a click bar, or some type of leaf, which basically when you press down the switch, it will cause a click from this extra piece going down. So that click is either from inside the housing of the switch or from this actual switch hitting the bottom of the hitting the bottom housing of the switch. Tactile switches, I know this is going to be like a very bad explanation on tactile switches, but tactile switches are basically linear switches, but they have a type of bump when you actually press the switch. So you see how the stem leaf, the leaves on the stem of the switch are just straight, and it's kind of similar for here. The leaves on the stem on this stem are straight as well, but these two both have a tactile bump. That's because the actual leaf has a bit where when you're pressing down, there's some type of resistance on that switch as you're pressing it down, which causes you to feel some type of feedback before the switch goes down. So that tactile feeling is just some type of feedback when you press the switch down. Some people prefer linear switches just because they do gaming or something. Some people prefer clicky switches because they like the sound. And then people who like tactile switches purely like the tactile switch because of the feedback it provides. Because instead of just wanting an audible feedback, they want an actual feedback from clicking the switch. Because when you click a linear switch, when you click a linear switch, it's very hard to not bottom out when you're clicking a linear switch. With a tactile switch, the moment you feel the tactility of the switch, you will most likely actuate the switch before bottoming out. It is possible to activate a switch on a linear switch without bottoming out, but with a tactile switch, some of them are built better than others. Some of them you'll bottom out as soon as you start clicking the switch down, and others you don't. It just depends on the type of switch you're using. So yeah, that's the board I'm using. I'm not going to do a sound test because, yeah, I just don't like sound tests. Sound tests are like very subjective. It depends on the type of headphones you're using, the amount of the type of mods that are on the board, the positioning of the mic and all that nonsense. So I'm not going to give you a sound test. Me typing is good enough. I'm just going to do another typing test, and then yeah, hopefully I do well. Just relax. You could do this. Okay, I'm getting better. 81. '79, accuracy 91. What was my accuracy on this one? 94. Okay. Honestly, if I think I'm gonna get better, I have to do it while adding all of this stuff. Basically, the reason I'm adding all of these settings is that when you're typing on normal monkey type mode, it has a limited word list. So when you're actually typing, most of the words that you're going to type are quite easy. So it won't have your hand stretching for certain places of the keyboard, and it won't allow you to actually like advance your vocabulary. So if you come across a word that's kind of difficult to type, you will tend to slow down just because you're not used to your hands moving into those positions. If you increase the word list that monkey type uses, it will show you words that are uncommon for you. Well, they would be uncommon. They're uncommon for me, but you never know. You might be some savant that's seen all these words before. But it will just make it a bit more complicated. And the punctuation and numbers mode, again, it's just so that you're used to typing those numbers, punctuation, while you're actually typing. Because say for example you're a coder, like me, I'm doing programming. You gotta get used to hitting those special characters, the numbers while you're actually typing. If you don't, then when you're coding, you're gonna find it difficult to speed up when you're actually doing it. And another one is stop on error. Just change that to word, just so that you get used to, when there's an actual word, when you're typing, you don't just have an error, continue typing, and then submit something, do you? You go back, you edit that word, you fix what you've written, and then you continue, right? So this just makes sure that you can't continue typing if there's an error in the word that you're typing, right? And then the other one that you should enable is opposite shift. So this just increases the word list that's fed through to monkey type. This makes it that if you have any errors, it stops so that you have to fix them. This opposite shift is purely just like a preference thing, where I just want to enable it so that I get used to hitting the opposite shift key while I'm typing. Because if you're hitting the same shift key as the current letter that you're typing, there might be another letter that you need to type that's in a similar position, which might slow you down. So the best way to do it is to enable opposite shift, so that whenever you're typing, you use the opposite shift to the current letter that you're typing on. I also recommend that if you're typing, especially on this keyboard, use the opposite spacebar to the key that you're pressing. So if you're typing on the QWERT side of your keyboard, use your right thumb to hit space. If you're typing with the YUIOP part of your side of your keyboard, use your left thumb to hit space, right? If you're not using QWERTY, then it might be a bit different, and this only applies if you're touch typing, or if you're using like a semi-normal typing standard. If you're not using like the majority of your fingers when typing, then just disregard what I've said. I still do recommend learning to type like that, because it makes things easier and it just gets your hands more involved. But yeah, so let's try this. I'm probably going to hit like 40 words per minute, just because this is going to be complicated when I'm typing. Oh no. Heliograph I don't even know if any of this is bloody English, honestly. Non-government doctrinarian unthreshed philosophies Tunisians non-submission deindustrializations Saltato Orcadian yeah, I told you I was gonna hit that 41. But hopefully I'll be making new videos on like typing pretty much every other day. Like, I'm gonna try improving my typing speed, because I know this is like pretty much pathetic when you're trying to type. Like, cool, on 10 fast fingers I might be able to type like relatively fast, but that's if I'm not like paying attention to punctuation and that. So if I do 3, 2, 1, go. 73. Yeah, that's slow. That's 100% slow. But yeah, even though I can type above 70 words per minute, I think the average typing speed is like 50. But for someone who programs, that's like relatively slow, and I just want to get a bit faster. So genuinely, if I make a video, it's gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm typing. If I do anything like non work related, I'm gonna post it on here. So if I'm doing something on my laptop, like a typing test, or I'm doing like a keyboard review, IEM review, programming, or like gaming, I'll post it on this channel. But I'm saying right now, I'm gonna dedicate time to trying to bring up my typing speed. But yeah, if you guys got any advice on like how to type faster or something, I genuinely appreciate it, because I know this could be a lot better. What else was I gonna say? If you wanna, like, if you're considering buying the keyboard that I'm using, I'd say if you're just getting into the mechanical keyboard hobby, I honestly wouldn't recommend it. Like cool, with keycaps and everything, it looks like a cool board, right? But okay, what I would recommend is, if you want to get into mechanical keyboards, first figure out the type of switch you want, whether linear, tactile, or clicky. Figure out what type of sound you want. Look up Clinical's video on keyboard sounds and stuff. It's on Mecha Store's YouTube channel. He has a really good video explaining it. For switches and stuff, I believe there's a bunch of like YouTube videos about switch sounds, but honestly, I just recommend buying a little switch tester. They cost like $10-20 on Amazon or AliExpress, and just play around with the switches, find the one that you like the sound of the most, and go with that. For the board, that comes down to what's your preference. Do you need, so like, keyboard types, and I forgot that I zoomed in. Okay, so there's an 100%, a TKO, 80%, 75%, 65%, 60%, and 40%. The percentages are just how many keys are on the keyboard, right? So a TKL is literally like, okay, this looks like a full-size keyboard, right? Yeah, it has the function row too. A TKL is literally all of this except for the numpad, right? Then you've got a 75%, and some 75% don't have the function row. Some of them just don't include these, but they have the function row. Then you got a 65%, which is literally just, I believe, these keys. Then you got a 60%, which is just these keys, right? So the YMDK wings, I'm pretty sure, is a 75%. Is it a 75% layout? I think it's a 75% layout. Because I don't get the function keys, and I don't have a numpad, but I do have 3 keys at the end, and it's an Arisu basically. If you don't know what Alice layout is just like this type of layout, and then the Arisu layout is just that it has the arrow keys. In terms of ergonomics, yeah, just figure out like what type of keyboard you want, and then if you're like worried about ergonomics, I'd say don't get this keyboard specifically. Get a keyboard that is a split keyboard. This keyboard is good for me just because I know that my typing style is bad. Like when I'm typing beforehand, I never used to type with like the majority of my fingers. Now I am typing with the majority of my fingers just because doing the whole like typing thing where like you'll have like 2 fingers and then you're trying to type over this keyboard, yeah, that's not happening. So this keyboard literally just forces me to type with like a semi-normal typing style. But that's just because like I knew I needed to type, and instead of being like, oh, I could save money by just like using some online websites to learn to type, I just bought this. Oh, the regrets. But anyway, if you want to learn to type properly, don't just buy this and then just expect to learn to type properly. Actually, use software to learn to type properly. There's like Keyboard.io. It's Keyboard.io. I think I spelled it wrong. Keyboard. It's keyboard.com. Yeah, this website literally tells you how to type. There's also a bunch of other typing websites that actually teach you how to type. I also recommend going on Reddit to the mechanical keyboard subreddit specifically, just because it covers a lot of stuff that I haven't talked about in this video. But genuinely, if you want to improve the ergonomics, like if you have RSI or something, and you know you're going to be typing a lot, having a keyboard that can tent or that can tilt or that has like a split layout where the two halves of the keyboard are actually split is a good option. I would recommend a Dactyl Maniform. It's a funky looking layout, but basically a Dactyl Maniform is basically the keyboard is split into two and it kind of looks like this. It doesn't need to look like this, it can have like a different layout, but honestly any type of layout that's split and that has like a slight curve to it or like a slight incline to it where your hands aren't like flat is gonna be a lot better than just typing on a keyboard that makes your hands flat or makes your hands like turn out. With the YMDK wings, it is a little ergonomic, just that your hands are tilted in. So when you're typing, your hands don't like pinch when you're typing. So you might have heard like my wrist crack during this recording. I don't know if you can actually hear my wrist cracking, but the reason that I mainly got this keyboard is one, because my typing style is really bad, and two, when I was using my old keyboard, which was an RK64, my wrist used to crack way more. Like now that my wrists are cracking, like it does crack, but before it used to crack and it used to hurt a lot. Now it's a little better, but I know that if I really want to like look after my wrist as much as possible, I will probably need to get a split keyboard. But yeah, if you are worried about ergonomics, if you are worried about RSI in the future, get a split keyboard or get a keyboard that can tilt or tent. I know there is the ErgoDox. There's the ErgoDox Easy, yeah. There's the ErgoDox Easy and there's the Moonlander, which are pretty good, like pre-built split keyboards that can tilt. Like these have like tenting kits, which basically lets you adjust the tilt of the keyboard, so you can adjust it to tilt more out, more in, and like to adjust the actual position of your hands. Whereas like the Dactyl Maniform is purely based on like the size of your hands. So if and it needs to be 3D printed. So unless you get your hands measured before you actually get it built, it might be too uncomfortable for you. So if you want to have like a solid purchase where you're like, okay, cool, I know it's gonna work and it's probably gonna be good for you, I'd recommend one of these two pre-builts. There's another one, I think it's called the Digma Rays. Yeah, the Digma Rays. This one is like the ErgoDox Easy and the ZSA Moonlander, where it's just a keyboard that can tilt and split, and it has like that layout. I believe this is an ortholinear layout. This is ortholinear, and the ErgoDox Easy is, yeah, these are all ortholinear layouts. This one is staggered, where the keys are like staggered so that when your fingers are actually in the keyboard, your fingers aren't all like in a row, they're all like kind of curved. I believe on the Moonlander it's just straight, right? Like it's proper in rows. Yeah, I believe. Oh no, this is staggered too, and this is staggered. Yeah, they're all staggered. So you won't have to like relearn how to type. If you get like a proper ortho keyboard, ortho columnar keyboard, it might be difficult. So I recommend an staggered layout for most newbies, just so it's a lot easier to get used to, for especially for Arisu and split keyboards. But yeah, that's all I recommend, honestly. What else can I cover? Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. If you got any advice on like improving my typing standard, any advice to make my videos better, advice on like making my keyboard sound better, genuinely, I'd listen to it. I'd try to take it into account and just do better. But yeah, thanks for watching.